Greetings everybody, this is Nathan Asman. I'm here tonight to show you a quick rundown of how to get your emotes, your emotion hardware, talking to Ableton Live via MIDI. So once you've installed the software package that you can download from the website, you're going to want to hook up the base station to your computer, and then you're going to want to open up the eMotion Basic app that can be found in the software folder. It's going to look like this. It's the eMotion Basic app. So we're going to open that up, and then as soon as that pops up, you're going to want to choose from this drop-down menu your base station, which is going to be, it's going to say USB serial, and then a collection of letters and numbers, not necessarily this one, but something similar. It'll look similar to that, so I'm going to choose that. You're going to turn on your emote, and then you're going to click the on-off button right here. And then you'll see over here that the mod twist 0 popped up here, which is the emote that I'm going to use. Yours will say something very similar. It might even be exactly that, but it's the if you're using the accelerate, it'll say mod accelerate, and then the ID, that number is the ID number. So you're going to want to double click that to open up the window. Set down your emote on the desk, just leave it flat and not moving, and we're going to go ahead and calibrate that. And it's going to run through the calibration routine, and as soon as that's done, we will be ready to go to get the data into Max and then into Ableton. So we're going to wait for that to finish real quick. Alright, so you see it says done in 100%. So now it is all nice and synced up. I got a nice data stream, or a few nice data streams going there. So once that's done, you can actually go ahead and close out that window, and I'm going to go ahead and close out this Max console window as well. Then what you're going to want to do is open up the DataProcessor Max patch, which is this guy right here. It'll look like that. It'll probably be highlighted in blue or have a little blue dot right next to it. I've actually already got that open over here. So once that's open, you're going to need to generate an input module so it can get the data from that emote into Max. So we're going to open up this drop-down menu, and under the input section, we're going to do em.emote for the emote input. And then you're going to go ahead and unlock your patch real quick. Down here, there'll be a little lock that says unlock. So we're going to click that. Just, oops, not do that. You're going to want to click on the emote, on the module itself, and move that down, just so it's out of the way of the modules that we are going to generate next. So once that's moved, you're going to lock your patch again. Now we need a way to rescale the data so it's compatible with MIDI. So we want to rescale the data stream, which is from -1 to +1 right now. We want to rescale that from 0 to be from 0 to 127, so that's compatible with MIDI. So we're going to choose the em.rangesetter module here. That'll pop up there. Go ahead and unlock your patch again and drag this one right below the input module. And then lock your patch one more time, and you're going to generate, we need an output module now. So, since we're doing MIDI, we're going to do under output, em.MIDI-out. That's up there. Unlock your patch one last time, and then drop the MIDI output right under the range setter there. And then before you unlock your patch again, you're going to want to connect all these together. So we're going to go from the outlet of the input module into the inlet of the range setter, and the outlet of the range setter to the inlet of the MIDI output module. And then you can go ahead and unlock your patch. Now in the emote input module, you're going to want to choose the emote you're using. In this case, I'm using a twist, but if you're using accelerate, you would choose accelerate. And then I'm going to choose a data stream. I'm just going to choose AccelX, the accelerometer x-axis. And then we go down to the range setter, and since we want the new data stream to be 0 to 127, you're going to want to make sure that your minimum is 0 and your maximum is 127. So once that's all set, you see this little learn toggle right here. What you're going to want to do is click that, and then move your emote through the full range of motion for that particular data stream. In this case, the accelerometer X. And what that's going to do is look at the incoming data stream, which is -1 to +1, and then know that that's the incoming stream, and it's going to rescale that to 0 to 127. So once that's done, you're going to unclick that Learn button, and now we see that we've got just about down to 0 all the way up to right about 127. So that's perfect. That's the full range of MIDI data that we're going to want to use. And you can see it actually percolating down here in the MIDI output. Now, in the MIDI output module, you're going to have a drop-down menu here, which is going to be, you're going to select which MIDI bus you're going to use. You'll have a couple different ones here. You'll probably have AU, DLS Synth if you're using a Mac, and then some eMotion Basic ones. But the one that we want to use actually is from Max 1. So you're going to just go ahead and click that. And then we're actually using continuous control data right now. So instead of note out data, we want control out data, it's going to send CC messages out to Ableton. So we're going to click that. If you're sending out note data and that's what you want to do, then you would click note out. Right now, since I'm just using the one data stream, excuse me, and the one emote, we're going to leave the controller number on 1 and the channel number on 1. But those are changeable. You have up to 127 different controller numbers that you can use, and up to 16 different MIDI channels that you can use. So you have plenty of room then to use various data streams and emotes all together at once. Now what you're going to do, just so you know, once you've selected this from Max 1 MIDI bus, the data, the MIDI data is now already sending out on that bus. It's just waiting for something to listen to it. So once you open up Ableton, which we're going to do right now, you're not going to see me for a sec, but that's okay. You want to remember that you've already selected that bus, because as soon as you open up MIDI map mode, if you've selected a random parameter, like I'm clicking on random ones right here, if you've selected one of those and you open up MIDI map mode, since it's already sending out the MIDI data on that MIDI bus, the from Max 1, usually as soon as you open up MIDI map mode, that parameter will grab that data stream and map it to that, because it's already sending. So what you're going to want to do is make sure that you've selected the parameter that you want to map to before you open up MIDI map mode in Ableton. Also, just to make sure that that Ableton is actually listening to that MIDI bus from Max 1, you're going to go to Live and then Preferences, and then you're going to click on the MIDI link tab here. And then over here we see they call them MIDI ports. MIDI bus and MIDI port are the same thing for our purposes right now. We see input from Max 1, which is the one we want. And what you want to do to make sure that you can get the data correctly into Ableton is you want to track to be on and remote to be on and sync to be off. So it should look like that. The other buses you don't need to worry about. You can just leave them if they're all off. That's great. If some of them are on and off, that's fine. You don't need to worry about those. The one that we want to focus on right now is from Max 1. You track on and remote on. So that's good to go. We'll close that up. Now, just for this example, I'm going to map that accelerometer X data stream to the master fader, the volume fader on the master track here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that track just by clicking on it, and you'll see that it became selected here. So that's just to make sure that once we open up MIDI map mode, that if Ableton is already going to grab that data, that it's going to map it to the parameter that we want. So we've selected that. I'm going to go ahead and open up MIDI map mode, either by pressing this MIDI button up here in the top right corner, or by doing Command M on my keyboard. In this case, I'll just click this button up here. So you'll see Ableton didn't actually grab that yet, but you want to always make sure that the parameter is selected that you want to map to before you open up MIDI map mode. Because you'll see as soon as I click this parameter, it will automatically be mapped to the data stream, because the data stream is continuously sending already. So as soon as I click that, you see that it mapped it. You'll see a 1-1 pop up, or 2-1. It's the controller and the channel number, depending on which controller and channel you're using. And then over here on the left side, under MIDI mappings, we see it popped up. CC1, master mixer, track volume. And so we know that it was mapped. So now you can actually go ahead and close out MIDI map mode by clicking that button again or hitting Command M again. And now what we see, I'm going to go ahead and bring my little screen back so you can see as I move the emote. So now you see that the emote is responding to my movements, or excuse me, the data stream and the fader are responding to my movements. I'm going to go ahead and play this little sample I've got loaded up just so you can hear it. we've got that going all nice right there. I'm going to go ahead and stop the audio really quick. And that should just about do it. If you want to start mapping multiple multiple data streams, you're just going to repeat that process, and you're going to create. You can do multiple inputs. You will need to do multiple inputs for each data stream that you want to do, because this only can handle one data stream at a time. And you'll just have this exact same thing. You can actually unlock your patch, select all three of them, and then copy and paste them. So now we have another one. And so you would just repeat that same process, choose your data stream, rescale it, choose the correct MIDI bus, and then as soon as you do that, you got to remember that you've selected the parameter you want to map to before you enter MIDI map mode in Ableton. Another way to do this, if you'd like, if you're dealing with multiple, like a number of different data streams, is to actually, in Max, turn off, just select AU DLS synth or just another MIDI bus or port that you're not using. So you can just select another one, and now that data is not going to be sent to Ableton immediately. It's going to be sent to this other bus that we're not listening to, and then you can go into Ableton. Map, you can open up MIDI map mode in Ableton actually already, and then choose what parameter you want to do, whatever parameter you want to map to, go back to Max, and then choose the correct bus, and then it would map to that. So there's nothing coming in there, so we'll go back to this one. We'll go to Max, and you'll see that it just mapped it to that one as well. So that's another way to do it, by turning off by selecting a port that you're not using, a MIDI bus, a MIDI port that you're not using, and then opening up MIDI map mode in Ableton, and then going back to the port that you're using. Sorry, that's a little convoluted, but that's very important to do, because otherwise your mappings will get all mixed up, and you won't know which one you've mapped to accidentally and whatnot. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any more questions, feel free to shoot me an email, or shoot the eMotion website an email, and we would get back to you with any questions that you have. So I hope this helped, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye-bye.